Whoever is the leader of the AI sphere will become ruler of the world. Vladimir Putin, 2017. Now, I don't think we would say that we like Putin. We wouldn't say that. Would we, Andrew? Would you, Andrew?
I'm not going to comment on that. Just going to remain out of that discussion.
This has nothing to do with saying anything about Putin. We thought it was an interesting quote, which as I was driving home, getting ready to record this episode on AI, I'm listening to an audiobook called The Price of Tomorrow. Are you familiar with that book, Andrew? Have you heard of it before?
I have not heard of that.
I've heard really good reviews about it, and so I am reading it, but it's about kind of technology and how it's going to be shaping the future. It's been interesting so far, but the last couple of chapters have been all about AI. And also the book was written in 2019. So it was written before a lot of these recent breakthroughs. But one of the things that he was kind of emphasizing was that I think it was Moore's Law or something around semiconductors doubling like every couple of years or something like that. And he was basically saying how like with the AI, its intelligence will not only be doubling periodically, but the periods of that doubling will get shorter and shorter and shorter. So it'll be twice as smart in the next 18 months and twice as smart in the next 12 months and the next 6 months until it gets to the point where it's getting twice as smart every single day and then twice as smart every single hour. Just like the extreme exponential growth of the intelligence of these systems, which are now, we're starting to see the full impact with the advent of a lot of different technology inventions is here. Point being, is that there's a lot of people talking about AI, and I know a lot of us are probably tired of hearing about AI, but the fact of the matter is that, how did we say it before, Andrew, when we were deciding that we should do an episode on this?
Basically, it's just that AI is here, it's happening, it's what's present, it's available for use, and you have to be using it if you're not going to be left behind going forward from here. You can choose to sit on the sidelines and just ignore it for now, but that's only going to set you back because there's people out there who are utilizing these tools in their daily workflows to improve productivity, knowledge, information gathering, all kinds of different capabilities that these tools provide. So we just felt like it was super important that we had a conversation around AI, especially at the time of this recording. Unbox is going on. They're releasing some new things around AI capabilities that we're going to touch on a little bit in this episode. So super important that we stay up to date, in the know on all things AI, and start to just integrate these tools into our workflow to help improve our productivity and output of our work. So this is going to be a super fun episode to dive into. We're going to share some great tools that we're using, different ways we're using all these new AI tools and ways you can use them going forward. So super excited for this one. This is going to be good.
I also started watching iRobot again. I watch movies in like 30-minute increments. I don't usually have the patience to sit down and watch a full movie, but I thought it'd be good to watch iRobot again, starring Will Smith, to review the dystopian future that we may be headed towards with mass robot intelligence.
Yeah. It's always funny, like thinking about those old movies that were made that like are a little eerily like scary whenever you start to see stuff unfolding in the future. It's weird.
What I did think was interesting was that their robots actually aren't as smart as ChatGPT, or at least like their language and interaction doesn't feel as natural as GPT's. Like they kind of underplayed the actual kind of speaking abilities of what these futuristic robots would be. And it seems like most of their advanced technology is just in their ability to walk around and stuff. But point being, we have the masterclass out.
What? Wait. I had a comment on that. You said something about the robotic capabilities of those robots. Have you ever seen the Boston Dynamics robots?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude, those are basically like iRobot. And if you just plugged in ChatGPT, you got a
frankly,
operating iRobot.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. ChatGPT recently has a vocalized conversation capability. Did I tell you about this?
Nope. Haven't heard about this.
So on that ChatGPT mobile app, there is a little like headphones thing. And if you click it, what happens is you can talk to ChatGPT and it takes your text, turns it into code that it then reads and understands. It generates a response and it goes through one of their partner networks, which is a text to speech AI. And it creates insanely human sounding speech, which even has filler words. Like it'll be talking to me and be like, yeah, so what you'd actually want to be doing in this scenario, like saying ums and uhs along the way. It's kind of freaky and weird, but I use that. I mean, it works when my phone's on lock screen. So I literally, when I'm walking my dog and skating around or driving around or doing whatever, I will just kick off a conversation with ChatGPT and just ask it all kinds of questions.
Do we want to do it? Let's just do it. Let's just ask
we'll
it.
let people, we'll let people do it.
I've never done
at
it.
home. Yeah,
I've never done it.
It's definitely
So
worth trying to. Yeah, I have full on conversations about literally anything. Like recently, I was asking it. Like I was trying to get some data and I was just having a conversation. I was like, how much data is required to build a language learning model such as ChatGPT? And it's like giving me big numbers I can't comprehend. I'm like, okay, let's boil that down and see like how many books would that fill? How many libraries would that fill to get an idea of the sense of scope? And just have a whole conversation. I'll talk about it I was thinking about visiting Pakistan to visit some team members. So I was like, what would be a good trip itinerary to visit, my team members in Pakistan? And it's helping me plan trips as I'm just walking my dog. So.
Sweet. Let me know when you go to Pakistan. I want to go too.
All right. But we do have we won't spend too long on this, but just so you guys know, the masterclass is probably out by the time this episode is here. So that's our full scale, condensed, distilled, premium version of basically all of our knowledge is boiled into one single place. There's a chance it won't be done yet. But if there is, there will be a link down below. We certainly will be having the AdLabs software available for use. There's a wait list right now. So we're just letting in a few members at a time because it's basically just me and Andrew handling all the customer support. So we need to kind of limit how many customers we let in at a time. So there is a wait list there, but there's a free version of the Bid Optimizer that you are more than welcome to hop on and try out. No credit card required or anything like that. You just connect your account and start optimizing your bids and placement settings, all that. All the logic that we've talked about is going to be available in there. And then, of course, the Discord is our online growing community where you can interact with me, Andrew, and several hundred other Amazon PPCers and ask personal questions, get personal answers. It's a good time to get some good advice.
Yeah. Just one other note on when the masterclass is going to be released. I don't know. This episode is actually going to go live second to last week of November. I was actually plotting out our episodes through the end of the year. We are all planned out through the end of the year so far, but this is going to go live at the end of November. So we may or may not be live with the masterclass at that point in time. So
okay, maybe I spoke too soon.
We'll see. Well, I hope we are, but yeah,
we're hoping by December. By December, we should be able to be opening up that course. All right, let's jump into this conversation and start talking in depth about Amazon AI tools and how they can help you enhance your Amazon advertising.
All right. So AI within Amazon is a growing conversation, a growing discussion, and there are new tools and features being released all over the place, both within Amazon as well as on, a lot of third-party software solution providers are integrating a form of AI to some degree. Now, as at the time of this recording, there's a lot of discussion on LinkedIn about Amazon Unboxed. That's a conference going on right now. They're talking a lot about AI at this conference. From what we're seeing, we're obviously not there, but from what we're seeing, it's a lot about AI. And there's a couple interesting capabilities that Amazon is talking about releasing, and you may be seeing pop into your account, both Seller Central as well as within the ad console over the next coming weeks or months or so. So those two things that we're going to talk about today in regards to what Amazon is releasing within their platform are Amazon's listing AI and Amazon's sponsored brand generative image AI. These are two new features that are going to be coming to the platform, and they should provide you with some awesome capabilities to help improve both your listings and your advertising efforts. So let's start first with the Amazon listings AI. and go into that a little bit. I'm not super familiar with this with Steven. I don't do a whole lot of work with listings too much. I have seen a little bit on it, but basically the way I understand it is it allows you to generate titles and bullet points and descriptions and things like that for your listing that are, SEO friendly or relevant to your product. But do you know more about the listing AI?
No, I think it's going to be very similar to ChatGPT. So let me back up real quick. There are primarily two AI technologies out there that have been very dominant and successful. There are the language learning models, and then there are the generative image AIs. So they're kind of the two different things, two different types of technology. The language learning models, basically, they just read language and interpret language and have a very advanced kind of neural network system of computers, nodes, and processes and all this stuff that, frankly, I don't really understand. But it's meant to, like, these neural pathways, as they call them, are meant to, they're basically just imitating the human brain. Because at the end of the day, the human brain is just electrical signals, practically binary, of just ones and zeros, of just synapses turning on and off and just firing around the brain. And so they've just studied the brain and created similar neural networks with circuits and are running data through these things in order to create answers. So the language learning model has just been trained to exclusively focus on language, which, if you think about it in depth, language is a very powerful thing in terms of everything that we can accomplish and build and do in life with language. But that language doesn't just go down to conversations. It can also translate into code, right? When we build programs and all these things, that's in language, even like CSV files and Excel spreadsheets, like all of that is just structured language, which these systems understand. So with Amazon creating these listings that are likely going to be based off of some form of a language learning model, you can just give it some prompt and some kind of context around what exactly your product is, and it can generate the rest of the text. And since it's read 1 million more books than you have, it's going to have perhaps some much better ideas around what makes good copywriting and compelling storytelling, from the titles to the description to all this kind of stuff. So it'll be pretty powerful there.
Beautifully said, for sure. That whole discussion on language is a really interesting concept. I think you and I sat there in New York and talked about that for like a couple hours in the lounge at the hotel.
Yeah, we were like, it felt like our minds were so blown just talking about language that we were kind of like, we weren't high, for the record, but it almost felt like that. Just like our minds were so elevated as we were just like, whoa, language is crazy.
We were also just in like a really cool environment where it was just it was a chill environment. Yeah. Beautiful skyline view. Remember that? That was picturesque. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's beautifully said, man. Yeah. So the listings AI, the way I understand it is, similarly to ChatGPT, the way you prompt it, you kind of tell it what to do, what you're looking for, the process, and maybe give it some like, these are the features and the main benefits that I think my product has, or the competitive advantage my product has, and try to incorporate those. And then it'll output kind of whatever you're asking it to do, whether it's the bullets or the title or whatever. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, like I said, I don't do listings too much, but for people who are actively generating content for listings, this is going to be such a huge time saver. Like, even if it's not like totally accurate and perfect, whenever you use ChatGPT to output like examples of bullets and titles and stuff, it at least gives you a starting point that saves you a lot of time and prevents you from having to like think through potential options. You can always ask ChatGPT for variations, and it's like really quick. And I think, that's going to save a lot of people a lot of time who are actively, copywriting and creating these Amazon listings.
Yep. And then what about these generative images? That's the other big thing. There's DALL-E, Midjourney are popular ones that create these images. Actually, if anybody saw I did a series of posts on LinkedIn called Revenue Per Click is King, RPC is King in Amazon bidding. And I had some really catchy images that were all generated by DALL-E. And I just gave it the prompt, and I was like, hey, I want it to say RPC is King. The theme is Amazon and e-commerce, throwing some data analysis looking things in there, and it creates some really cool images for me in like a couple seconds.
I saw those and I was like, attaboy, using some image generation. I like it. I thought they looked good.
If you zoomed in on the images, you'd see there was some weird stuff. Like it was saying,
Yeah.
it was like Sponered products or something like that.
Yeah. It's not like perfect, but it looks good. Yeah. So anyway, these generative images. So basically what's coming is sponsored brands, generative AI. This is going to be such a help for sellers and vendors who have good products, but maybe don't have the content to support those products and the imagery to support the listings and merchandising of those products. So within sponsored brands, as you know, you have the ability to add custom images, and Amazon's basically bringing a similar thing to DALL-E or Midjourney, where it's going to allow you to create and generate product-specific, lifestyle, scenery-driven images that you can use in your sponsored brands. Now, I think I saw some sort of statistic. I don't know what exactly it was, but it said that like 75% of the people who abandon the creation of a sponsored brand campaign do so because they don't have sufficient content to support that ad type. And so, probably part of why Amazon's bringing this to us is because a lot of sellers don't have that content. And so this is a potential way for you to generate quality images. And we'll talk about the actual quality of these so far from what we're seeing. But create quality images that you can use in your ads. So this is going to be a really interesting one, especially if it ties directly into the product listing itself, and it can actually use the current images that you have, and it can actually output something that doesn't have like all those wonky details that you were just mentioning with your RPC is King images. You see that a lot with these image generation things. There's a lot of weird blends and stuff sometimes between the colors and images and text and all that. So if Amazon can figure that out, that'll be really good. And if it can tie directly into the product and utilize the current content, game changer. So I think that's going to be super powerful. And from what I've seen so far, I don't currently have access to this right now in any of my accounts, but
I don't think anybody does. Right?
Yeah. Well, I saw Stephen Pope put up something on LinkedIn today, and it was a screenshot within the campaign builder in the Amazon UI, and it was basically him prompting and generating the image. So I don't know if that was just like a sandbox or like a test box. I don't know.
I thought he was just taking that from Amazon like marketing material.
Oh, maybe it was. I could be wrong. So maybe it's not available to anybody. But I did see him post that. And I don't know how you'd know this, but it said that the images were kind of coming out a little bit wonky, like kind of still having that weird kind of stuff in them a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see
sometimes if they can. The person's face looks great, but it's just kind of like melting on one side.
Yeah, it's like shifted.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
The thing is, like I said earlier, is the intelligence of these things are getting like a billion times smarter every single day. Especially once right now it requires a lot of human feedback of humans actually saying this was good, this was not good, to like help it learn. But eventually it gets to a point, and in the book, the guy was using the example of the game Go, which is like just a board game that's like way more, I guess, possibilities and strategies than chess. And like the Go like machine computer thing that they created eventually reached a point where it was able to teach itself strategies. And once it got to that point, the accelerating learned because it could run because of the computing processing power, it could run 1 billion games simultaneously and teach itself from 1 billion different simultaneous games and make learnings, which is way more like a human wouldn't be able to play 1 billion games in their lifetime. And this thing within a few minutes can play 1 billion games, gather all of the learnings, and then do it again.
And teach you the most advanced strategies.
Well, I don't maybe teach you, but it's the point is the thinking is so much more beyond us. So point being, the images will likely get better after it's able to start QAing its own work and it reaches that level of sophistication.
Like just in the beginning, like there was some generative AI stuff coming out. I tried in the very beginning when this first thing kind of kicked off, and they were horrible, and they got good quick. Like it was within 3 to 6 months. It was like, wow, big difference. So this stuff's moving fast.
it might have doubled or tripled, which means in the next 3 to 6 months, it's probably going to do another 10x or something crazy. So that's why we wanted to, this will certainly not be our only episode talking about this. In fact, this episode's more of just an overview, and we'll try to have some more videos that are a bit more specific to actually utilizing all of these tools which are at our disposal, so that we as that Amazon Ads podcast community can together stay ahead of the curve. And So Andrew, I think I'm going to pivot slightly. We know that AI is coming to the Amazon platform. I think it'll be pretty advanced because Amazon is a tech company and they seem to have pretty good engineers, just being able to build all of Amazon and AWS and all this kind of stuff. So I think whatever they're doing on the AI side will be pretty strong. But there are also a lot of other Amazon marketing tools, or I should say Amazon tools, which market themselves as AI for Amazon. And I put this bullet here, Andrew, so I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on this yet, but I'll just share mine and then see if you got anything to add. But
sure.
My opinion, granted without testing any of them yet, my opinion is that a lot of these, just because there's a lot of them, but a lot of these really small AI teams coming out building AI, I don't think they have the data required to make a really smart AI just yet. I do think there will one day be AI that can replace me and Andrew in basically doing our entire jobs on optimizing bids and keyword selection, all this kind of stuff. But I don't think there's any tools out there just yet that can do that, because all of these AIs, they require training. It's not like you just build a system and it can start teaching itself right away. You have to give it a ton of influence and training and help teach it. And so for these current existing AI tools that are maybe focusing on, I don't know, automatically negating keywords or automatically optimizing your bids, one of the things that I'm wondering is who trained it with the logic? Did they use the RPC logic that we ascribe to, or were they or what? Or I mean, maybe there's a better logic than the RPC, revenue per click logic, but what is the logic they used? I just don't know who trained it and what did they train it to do,
And no one can answer that question ever. No one can answer that.
They fall back on, well, it's AI. It's AI.
It's a million data points. It's feeding a billion data points. What are they?
As if because it's AI, it's automatically the authority on truth for everything. And it's well, no, it's still native, or not native. What's the word I'm looking for? And what's the word for young birth? Nativity. It's in its nativity. Not Christmas. Infancy. Yeah, infancy. Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's still in its infancy. So if someone knows the word I was thinking of, drop it in the comments because it's going to bug me later. But the amount of data that we need, if there is a software out there that's maybe has 100 or 200, even 1,000 connected accounts, and it's trying to generate some algorithm based off the 1,000 connected accounts. In my opinion, that's a really low data set compared to what ChatGPT has. Just because it's AI doesn't mean it's going to be the same level of performance and sophistication as what ChatGPT is capable of doing. Because ChatGPT was trained on, and when I was asking it, it was I forget how many terabytes of data it was trained on over several years. And also the multiple iterations that the development team was doing with reconfiguring these synapse and neural networks to make it smarter and better and faster. And then, but it was saying something to the equivalent of 1.3 million books. It took all those bytes, and I was all right, convert that to books. And so did the math to figure out how many data bytes would equate to one letter, and then added how many words and letters are there in an average sized book. And it said 1.3 million average sized novels, which I think would fill around 20 to 30 average sized, medium sized public libraries. So that's all that data. Imagine 20 to 30 medium-sized public libraries. All of that data is what it takes to make ChatGPT able to provide you a recommendation on a sponsored brand headline or a product title. And a lot of these other tools that maybe just have 1,000 accounts that have been connected for a couple months might not be enough data to really allow a system to build. What were you going to say there, Andrew?
I was just going to ask you a question more in regards to like when I'm listening to this, I'm like, dang, I wish I could just take those 20 to 30 libraries and just like download them into my brain.
I know, for real. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, that's basically what Elon Musk is like trying to do with Neuralink, right?
No, I'm not letting that in my brain.
You wouldn't do it if it worked? If it worked?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, I see why. I understand
gotta draw
why.
a line somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of wild to think about though, right? Like if let's just say that capability was possible and it like, let's just say it didn't have any like consequences, which it certainly always would, but let's just say it didn't. And you could basically download all that information, stream that information. Like if you ever needed to know something or like had a question about something, it was like a streaming download of that information that you got just right from something that was full of all this information. It'd be kind of cool. Just something interesting. It would be super contemplating cool. As you were talking.
Yeah.
But not that I would do it necessarily, but it is interesting to theorize about it or think about it.
I personally think that would be messing too much with God's creation. And I like the human experience I like learning. I don't want to just instantly have all knowledge.
You wear
in my brain.
You wear headphones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those headphones kind of get loud in your ears, right? Sometimes, like you're playing music in there.
I mean, obviously, when there's something connected to your brain, is a little different.
So, but I mean, this is definitely influencing God's creation as well, via destroying your eardrums via the loud noises that were pumping through it every single day.
You know what I mean?
So, just saying. I mean, I understand what you're saying. There is a line, but just for the point of the argument.
Elon's point. Elon says like like we're basically cyborgs with our phones, having access to infinite knowledge. The only difference is like the lag time between.
We're inefficient. Yeah, we're inefficient with these because we have to type it and all that. So anyway.
But yeah, so that's my opinion on these third-party AI tools. Is frankly without having tested them, so it's not like I'm not making any conclusive results. I'm just saying my kind of initial skepticism is that number one, they're not the same size dev teams that are behind ChatGPT and what Amazon's building. Number two, I don't know if they have like the data size required to make really good AI. And number three, just because it's AI doesn't mean it's magic. Like I still don't know what's going on into the actual training and influence and all these things. And like who's putting the inputs in there. If you said, hey, here's an AI bot that will do whatever you teach it to do. Okay, now I'm interested. I can teach it. We can give it all of our podcasts and have it download all of our transcripts and read our podcasts and start doing things the way we do it. Like that would be cool. But an AI that someone else trained is kind of just like hiring another employee that someone else trained that like you have no ability to teach or train. I don't want that.
Good point. Yeah. And aren't these AI, like a lot of these software tools that are like integrating with AI, aren't a lot of them just kind of like piggybacking off of ChatGPT and like in some way plugging into ChatGPT?
That is a great point.
And it's basically like, it's just ChatGPT. They didn't actually build this native AI tool. It was just they connected to one that already existed.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and Andrew, I think, and we talk about it later, but a couple of the tools that we use, one known as Opus Clips, that we use to help us generate content for YouTube Shorts and Reels and stuff on Instagram and Facebook. I don't know this, but I feel like that whole tool is just what they call a wrapper, which basically it's just an app it's built upon the ChatGPT API, because ChatGPT has an API that allows any developers to connect to it and sync to it and use basically the brain for their system. So I'm pretty sure like what we do is we'll send our YouTube links to Opus Clips, and I'm pretty sure they just like create a transcript, send the transcript to ChatGPT, have it read and analyze the whole entire transcript, find highlighted sections of where good clips might be based off of context, based off the message, based off everything. And then it comes back and takes those clips and resyncs them to just the video clips, so that we have those all done. But I don't think they made the whole language learning model that whole system is built upon. They just kind of built the app that allows a nice user interface so that you can easily clip and edit your videos. But yes, it's in that sense, it's just a wrapper. It's just connected to the ChatGPT thing. And so and Opus Clips is a super small team. I think it's only like 6 employees or something. But because they're built on ChatGPT, the language learning model, which is obviously the AI building itself is the difficult part. And if it's built on an LLM like ChatGPT, I have much more trust in its capabilities because everything else on top of that is kind of just like the front end user experience and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I actually went down this rabbit hole like a few weeks ago in the middle of like one late night, and I was just looking into AI and ChatGPT and stuff like that. And you were talking about like creating your own AI if you could train it. And I know we have talked about this a little bit and how we could potentially do that with all of this content and all that type of stuff. But I found this like little course and went through it. It was basically like this step-by-step thing. And it was with this platform called Bubble. It's like bubble.io or something. And it basically walked you through how to build your own AI app. And this was like a pretty basic app. I forget exactly what it did. It was like some sort of like simple scheduling thing or something like that. But it basically was this platform that allowed you to kind of build and customize and make an app or an AI like that's connected to ChatGPT of your own. And so I don't know. It was just kind of cool, something to look into for anybody out there that's trying to get into that sort of thing. But yeah, thought that was kind of cool and interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, Andrew, let's actually switch tracks here and let's talk more about how we can take advantage of tools like ChatGPT for Amazon advertising. And I guess just to help kind of refine the whole conversation, from probably here on out, we'll focus mostly on ChatGPT and we'll go from here. So when it comes to ChatGPT, the first thing to understand is, again, it is a language learning model, which means it's not necessarily going to be the best at, figuring out what's the optimal bid for your keywords, because that's not what it does. It specializes in language and words and syntax and data structures and that kind of stuff. Not necessarily thinking through like, oh, what would be a good, like, should I do revenue per click? Should I be focused more on impression share or keyword ranking? Like, it's not gonna be able to think through all of that just yet. But where it's going to absolutely excel is anything related to words. And like, quite simply put, like, do we ever use words in Amazon? Yup. We've got keywords, we've got search terms, we've got SEO, like PPC, titles, bullets, all this kind of stuff. And so this is where we can get really creative with what we can do. And we'll in a second here, we will screen share and we'll kind of give some a couple quick examples of like kind of how to write prompts for ChatGPT. And that's kind of what we want to, I guess, focus on for this first initial episode talking about AI, is just kind of this overview. But Andrew, what are some examples that we've done of what we've done in the past for how we've utilized ChatGPT for, and I guess actually before that, sorry, I'm going to say one more thing and then I'll continue asking you that question.
Go for it.
It is important to note that for most of what we do with ChatGPT, you do need to pay the $20 a month for the GPT Plus subscription so that you are able to upload Excel sheets, download Excel sheets from the program. It doesn't even have to be Excel sheets. You can literally upload pictures, you can upload Word documents. Sometimes people send me a really long like PowerPoint and I like don't have time to read it. So I just upload it to ChatGPT and just like, give me the summary. But yeah, I mean, you could to be able to upload and download that kind of stuff. And we'll show you in a minute just how to do that. But that is important in case if anyone's like, how are they doing this? I've never heard that before. Like it does require the $20 a month. And for me, it's the best $20 I think I've ever spent in my life. I don't know if anything.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that I've gotten more value per dollar than this $20 a month. But anyways,
yeah.
Andrew, what have you been using ChatGPT for in regards to Amazon advertising?
Yeah. Let's keep it on Amazon because I mean I could go off on a tangent about everything I use it for. I'm asking it questions constantly. So use it for everything, but for Amazon specifically, for me, I'm using it for a lot of tasks. I'm looking for tasks that take me a long time to do and execute on that are super helpful and need to be done. And then I try to find a way to make that process faster. So an example that I've done. And also, just to mention, I've put up a few different things about some different ChatGPT prompts for some different stuff on LinkedIn, so you can go find that. Steven, I know you've shared a lot of prompts that you've been using on LinkedIn, as well as we have a whole episode where you break down how we do keyword harvesting with ChatGPT. So there's one example. You could literally just go watch that and learn how to do that. The other is that I pretty much use pretty regularly are the brand versus non-brand versus competitor splits of my data, like looking at data at the search term level and seeing, where that spend allocation is across my tactics. So that's just to name a couple. I guess other things I'm using it for are like data visualizations. So I really like that it can output charts. And so I'll give it a data sheet and be like, hey, create me a bar chart that segments these things and plots these metrics and use these colors and title the chart this. And like I've output some pretty cool looking charts that are like customized based on I told it what fonts to use, which colors, all that type of stuff. And it outputs that chart for me. And that prevents me from having to like go download the sheet and pivot it and make the chart. And like, that's just one example. That's not something that like takes me a ton of time to actually do in most cases, but there are some instances where just throwing that data into ChatGPT and outputting it back into a chart that I want to see is way faster. So
yeah, I think one example of that you did was when we started noticing that Amazon was changing the definition of exact match to include intent words of similar intent.
Yeah. With sponsored brands, they basically exact match stopped being super exact. It started including, it always kind of included synonym or not synonyms,
plurals,
but
or
misspellings and things like that. Plurals, plurals, misspellings. But notice that it started showing up like you would be targeting exact and be showing up on, too big of a variation of a keyword. So it started showing on intent-based searches. And I basically wrote this whole query to this whole prompt for ChatGPT, gave it the data, and it output the chart that gave me a nice visual representation so I could see what the impact of that change in exact match actually has been on the account. And basically was able to just see that there was a pretty big purchase rate or conversion rate discrepancy between the intent-based targeting versus the plurals, synonyms, and all the other normal exact match kind of variants that you'll see. So just kind of wanted to see what that, impact was and see, what Amazon was doing in my campaign. So that was super helpful and just kind of insightful for myself to see.
Yep. Yeah. Something that I've been using it for is, and you kind of already said this, but I think brand versus non-brand, trying to break out that spend splits, especially, if you got some auto campaigns going or some catch-all campaigns, that can make it difficult to really see how much of your spend is going towards going towards brand versus non-brand. And while it's easy enough to just filter out for your branded keywords, like by searching for like contains and then your brand, with the ASINs, it can be really difficult, especially with really large catalogs. If you have, several hundred ASINs in your catalog, trying to create a filter out for all of those different ASINs can be really complicated. And then you also have like generic keywords versus conquesting keywords, all this kind of stuff. For us, it was pretty simple. We just we created two separate sheets. One was our search term report. And then one was just a sheet that just labeled, hey, anything that's containing any of these terms is brand. Anything that's containing any of these ASINs are our ASINs. Anything else any other ASIN that's not these is a competitor ASIN. And then here are a few generic keywords. Here are a couple examples of competitor brand names. And then that's probably enough information for ChatGPT to kind of figure out the rest. And you just ship that to it and you say, all right, now tell me how much I spent on brand versus generic terms versus conquesting or sales or ACOS or conversion rates or CPCs. And it has all that data. And it'll be able to figure all that out. And sometimes you don't even have to define what CPC is. It knows. It's like, okay, yeah, CPC, cost per click. Let's go do spend over clicks. Let's figure it out. So it's pretty intelligent. We were also doing it, Andrew. You and I were working together on doing one breaking out the top of funnel versus middle of funnel versus bottom of funnel keywords, which I thought was a very interesting metric. Because within these keyword targeting, you've got some keywords that are super long tail, super specific to your product. Like you're selling iPhone 14 Pro cases and someone types in iPhone 14 Pro cases. that'd be super bottom of funnel. But if someone just types in phone accessories, that could be really top of funnel. And so we just download a whole like search term report or keyword report, give it to ChatGPT, give it a few examples like, hey, this is what I would deem a top of funnel. This is what I think would be middle. This is bottom. And then it gave me back the response where it did a pretty good job classifying a lot of it. And then there was quite a few that were unclassified because it didn't really know. So I was like, all right, let me like help you think through a few more of these to give it a bit more feedback so that it can understand, send it back, and then it was able to classify the rest. So
how would you classify the term like paring knives for toddlers? Where do you think that would fall in the funnel?
Well, what are you selling?
Paring knives.
Are they for toddlers?
for toddlers.
Then yeah, that's a bottom of funnel keyword right there.
Okay, cool.
I saw you holding back a smile and trying to jump in there with a quip.
Yeah, my wife told me she was familiar. She was watching that episode and got a real good kick out of that whole conversation. And so she said I had to bring it up again. So
the toddlers will probably be with us for the rest of as long as the show's around.
Oh, it's good stuff.
If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, it was one of the past episodes. I don't even remember which one it was. All right. I guess you have to just go back and watch them all in order to find out what the joke was. Let's switch tracks here. And I want to talk, unless if you have anything else to add, Andrew, I was going to jump to this next kind of bullet point. Okay, cool. So we're going to switch tracks and talk about how to use prompts. We're not going to just give you guys, hey, here's a bunch of prompts. Like just take these, copy, paste, plug them in. And part of the reason why we do that is number one, we realized you'll almost never get the exact same output because it's not like if I ask my Echo device, I can't say her name or she'll light up and respond. But if I ask my Echo device what the weather is, it's always going to have the exact same response, no matter how many times I ask it, assuming it's like not the next day where the weather changes, obviously, you know what I mean? But if I go and like ask ChatGPT on like several chats, the same question, the response will always be slightly different because it's generating it based off of its own little cute neural network. I don't know why I call it
would use like it may like use a different path to like figure out the response each time. So
it's like dropping a coin at Chuck E. Cheese's down the little decision tree thing, only times 1 trillion possible outcomes.
Well, actually, there is some statistics associated with that in that you should actually start the drop right in the middle, right to the sides of the middle, and you're going to land somewhere.
To win, you're more
coins. Highest probability. It looks like a bell curve on those things, just so you know, just in case you ever play that game. Yeah, so highest probability, drop it in the middle.
Win Chuck E. Cheese coins.
That's right.
But yeah, the point is like if you could drop the same token like in the exact same spot, and it's not necessarily going to land at the exact same spot because the quarter had a little extra gunk on it, which slightly tilted it in one direction, which but yeah, the number of outcomes here is like practically infinite. So,
but the analogy is like you still kind of arrive at the same conclusion,
correct?
And can kill. That's kind of like my point on that. Is like you still get that same kind of trend of the answers and responses. Sometimes they're not as good; they fall off to the side. Some of them are but most of them are kind of concentrated around the same kind of theme of response.
Yep. So, in what we'd rather do is rather than just giving you prompts to copy paste, we're going to teach you how to write a couple prompts for ChatGPT, and then we will experiment with one that we actually expect to fail, so we can show you how we can test and tweak the prompts. But the acronym that we made up for you guys is CGPT, which stands for the acronym is like ChatGPT, but chat is abbreviated as just another C. And so CGPT. You need to give it context in your prompt, basically like, what are you about to do? What are you about to embark on? What journey are you trying to accomplish with ChatGPT? Goal, which is kind of just like, what's the outcome that you're trying to get to? P is for process, which is essentially what are the steps that ChatGPT needs to take in order to help you achieve that goal? And then T is test and tweak. And it may not always get it right on the first time. So you just got to try it again. You can always ask ChatGPT as well, like, hey, why did you get this wrong? And it can sometimes give feedback, like you need to give me some more specifics here. And so you can always go back and clean it up or whatever. Or sometimes it's just like the file's corrupt or whatever, so that'll always help it kind of you can have it help you type thing.
It's a dialogue. It's back and forth, right? It's like it'll give you an output and you can be like, like that's not exactly what I was looking for. Maybe try doing it this way. And then help it kind of think through that process and iterate upon its outputs. It should help. So I love this acronym that you put together. This is good. This is great for prompt writing.
Yeah. Context, goal, process, test, and tweak. We couldn't decide if the T should be test or tweak. So we just said test and tweak.
A little bit of both.
Lots of T's. All right, let's jump over to a screen share and show what it looks like when we actually put this all together into creating a ChatGPT prompt. All right, so we're set up here with ChatGPT Plus. Just make sure you have Plus. And if you do, go to settings and beta features, turn on advanced data analysis, and then come up here and turn on advanced data analysis in GPT-4, which will give you the ability to upload files. So that's all kind of just precursor to making sure you got this here. Now, we wrote a prompt here. We're going to see if ChatGPT can optimize bids on one of our bulk sheets. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll find out. It's just a good case study, and we just figured, why not? We were planning on doing this, and we were like, why not just do it on a podcast episode and learn together and experience it all together? So, as we said, we need to give it context, assign the goal, state the goal, assign the process, and then finally we'll be testing and tweaking. So the way in which we do that here is first we mention our context, and it doesn't have to be super descriptive. Typically, the more descriptive and precise you are, the more information you give it, the better a job it'll do. But we're going a little bit briefer on this. So we just say attaches a bulk sheet for Amazon sponsored products. Our job is to optimize bids in order to achieve an ACoS of 30%. So that's kind of the context. Now here's the goal that ChatGPT has. Your objective is to determine what the appropriate bids should be in order to maintain a 30% ACoS by following these steps. And now we get into the process. So, and it's helpful also if you number these out. So we have 1 through 5. And so we say review and understand the components in the bulk operations file. The bids requiring adjustment are the rows which have the entity, keyword, and product targeting. So yeah, basically just saying if it's a keyword or product targeting, that's what's going to be needing the bids adjusted. Review the performance for each keyword and product targeting. And then some extra clarification. Performance columns are impressions, clicks, spend, order, sales, click-through rate, and conversion rate. And then we say based, and I could maybe say ACoS in there as well, but it's all right. Based on your analysis, assign the new bid for each keyword. In fact, actually, maybe I will add ACoS in here really quick. Okay, so we'll add ACoS in there as well, just in case if ChatGPT would like to just have that recognize that it should be using that column if it thinks it needs to. Step 3 is based on your analysis, assign the new bid for each keyword and product targeting in the new bid column. So that's just a column I added for in the bulk sheet. And then I say, please provide a brief reason for why you made the bid changes as you did in the reason column. That was just because I was curious to see what kind of feedback or reason response it would give, more just for me to learn. And then I say, when you are done, return to me the entire CSV file with all of the original data along with your additions. Let me know if you have any questions or need clarification. Otherwise, proceed. And then we'll just come here to attach the file. Here's our ChatGPT optimizations. And we'll attach it and ship it. And so now we'll see. What do you think, Andrew? Do you think overall these changes will be good?
Probably about as good as any other AI bidding tool out there.
You think so?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think we gave it quite enough context or maybe not context, but more, we would need to be a lot more specific about the criteria, I think we could be more descriptive, but overall, definitely. We'll see, we'll see what happens. It might give us some decent results. It's probably just going to be, I don't know. We'll find out. It always kind of surprises us sometimes whenever, we ask it to do something and then it uses this random formula or equation that we've never heard of. Like this happened when we were doing correlations. It started using the Pearson correlation when we were using linear regressions and things like that. So it just kind of helped us find some better methods. So it'll be interesting to see if it has some sort of formulaic logic that it uses in in these calculations and stuff without us telling it to do that.
Yeah. So, all right. So for the listening audience, we'll read through some of the things that's happening here as it's working on this and presenting its solution. So first, it just like is confirming that it appropriately was able to kind of read the file, and then it summarizes the steps in its own words. It says we're going to filter for the rows where the entity is either keyword or product targeting. Nice. Analyze the performance metrics. Adjust the bids to target a 30% ACoS. Provide a reasoning for each bid change. So cool. So it started doing that. And it said, it ran into a kink. It says, it looks like there was an error because of the column max bid is not present in the filtered data set. Now this is where, AI isn't always right. There is no max bid column. It's just bid. And I never said max bid. I only said bid. So somewhere along the way, it kind of got confused. And they call this, I think, hallucinations, where basically these AIs can essentially imagine an extra data piece or component. So somewhere along the way, maybe it was thinking, I don't know if Google is like a max bid term. It says max bid in the Amazon ad console at times, I think. Mm-hmm. Somewhere along the way, like it got confused and started looking for max bid. Didn't find it. And then it was like, oh, I see there's a column titled bid. So I'll adjust my analysis to use this column instead of max bid. So at least it was able to troubleshoot itself. And that's something it wasn't able to do a while ago. So that's much better. Then it says the bid adjustments have been made based on the current ACoS and other performance metrics. Here are some examples. For this targeting entity with a current bid of 42 cents and an ACoS of 24%, the new bid has been increased to 46 cents. The reasons that the ACoS is below the 30% target and increasing the bid might capture more sales. For another product targeting entity, the current bid is 67 cents with an ACoS of 32.5%, and the new bid has been decreased to 60 cents. The reason being that the ACoS is above 30%.
It basically just increased things that were low ACoS by 10% and decreased things that were high ACoS by 10%.
What I'm kind of wondering is by what percentage is it?
10%.
Is it only 10%?
Yeah, it's like 9%. It was like 9 point something percent on both of those.
Yeah, let's see here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks like
Like I said, it's probably as good as most AI bidding solutions out there.
So it was a simple 10% increase on the low keywords that were below ACoS, and a simple 10% decrease on those that were above. But
let's see the rest. Yeah, let's see what else it gave us.
Let's download it and take a look at what we got here. All right, so we have our data set. And it looks like it was just a simple kind of decrease by 10% from already what we're seeing so far. But yeah, we'll just take a little bit of a deeper dive, and let's take a look at the new bids, filter out the blanks to only see which were the ones that were adjusted. We can actually have we'll insert another column here. We'll call this the delta column. I'm just curious to see what the change was. We'll do that divided by that -1 to get a percentage change.
It's probably all 10%.
Yeah. It was either increased by 10%
conservative
or
GPT.
decreased by 10%. Yeah.
He didn't want to make too many radical changes. So
yeah. And all the reasons were basically just ACoS was below target, increasing bids to capture more sales. Also, let's look at a couple of these. ACoS was $0 just because there were no sales on it. But this could potentially be a high spend, non-converting keyword if the $6 spend mark is already above our target cost per acquisition. And this would actually be a scenario in which we want to decrease our bids, which AdLabs can do. But ChatGPT is trying to increase these bids up here. So anyways, just a fun fact for you. So that's basically what it is. So from here, we could maybe go back and be like, critique it and just say, hey, seemed really unsophisticated. Can you try to make up something more advanced or something, and then see what it does?
I bet we could probably just tell it too. We could just be like, hey, here's the formulas that we use and scenarios we use, and how you should think about calculating these bids. And like, you could definitely get a lot more refined about it and give it more specifics. And I think the output could be pretty good, depending on the more specific you can get, I think the better the outcome in most cases. So, this is just a good example of some potential things you could do. and you're going to have to come up with your own experiments and ideas for your workflows. But the whole point is to just use it, get used to using it, try different things, try to work it into like your everyday workflow. That's something I've been working on doing, is like anytime that I'm faced with like a task that seems, kind of monotonous or something, I try to find a way to speed up that workflow with some sort of AI tool or just any kind of tool really. But all right, what we got here?
So I threw in, while you were talking, I just threw in a quick one more prompt. I said, hey, try it one more time using the revenue per click method. And ChatGPT kind of messed up. It understood revenue per click as sales over clicks. And then it said to calculate the new bid using a target A cost of 30%, we can use the following formula. New bid equals RPC times 1 minus target A costs, which is not the correct formula. ChatGPT clearly did not read my LinkedIn posts series on why RPC and how to do RPC, because you're just supposed to multiply by the target A cost, not 1 minus target A cost. And because he's doing,
he's probably saying 30%. What is 1 minus?
That would be 70%.
Yeah. I don't know why.
It messed up. It messed up. It's essentially now targeting a 70% A cost instead of a 30% A cost.
Yep.
So, and that's why these bids are like actually
those bids.
Yeah, really high. Yeah. So
like
this one keyword
off.
had a 42-cent bid, and it's now going for $3.
Okay.
I mean, point being is there's a lot that we can do here, and the limitations of ChatGPT are mostly just confined to how well you can prompt it. Because at the end of the day, it's probably smarter than all of us, as long as we just give it enough input and direction. It's capable of doing a lot more advanced things than us, I should say. It's not quite capable of yet thinking on its own to come up with a bidding algorithm or bidding methodology or any of these things. And so for the time being, we will continue to do things the way in which we have been doing them, which is outlined in all of our episodes 2 through 5 on how we manage keyword bids and all this type of stuff. But I don't think it's here just yet for making like calculated changes, but it certainly is as far as language is concerned. When it comes to these keywords and all this type of things, like again, one other example that we did was we were trying to launch several hundred campaigns, and they all needed single product campaigns, I should say, and they all needed keywords associated with each and every single one of these single product campaigns. So we just downloaded our ASIN list with like the product titles and the description, and we just told ChatGPT, yo, here are all of our products, read what they are. And then we downloaded Amazon's top like 500 search terms, and we said, look through these top search terms, read the products, where a search term is highly relevant, like put it on a sheet for us so we can just like have it all together, and then we can turn that into a bulk file and upload it, or just copy paste the list into Campaign Manager. So on that task, it excelled one beautifully. Like it just rainbows and stars, or whatever they say. Flying colors. That's what I was saying. It passed with flying colors on that one. Rainbows and stars. So for those types of language-based tasks, it's phenomenal. And it's pretty good with data analysis, data visualization, as you were mentioning earlier, Andrew. But it's certainly still needs a lot of work in some areas. So.
Yep. It's getting better for sure. And there's just like so many new tools coming out there that are leveraging ChatGPT within them. There are tools of their own, other AI tools that are coming out that I think a lot of people should use too. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all real quick as we kind of wrap up here, but just give people some like rapid fire, a couple AI tools that we've been using. The ones that I'm using personally are just to help with productivity, streamlining some workflow. And one of the ones, Steven already mentioned one that we're using, Opus Clips, for the reel generation. So that's really good for content multiplication and iteration, and has helped us out a lot with the podcast. One other one that I've been using is called Tango. It's an app. It's a web extension as well. I think you can do both. It's free. You can use it on Chrome. It's free, and you can use it for whatever. But if you try to like start doing things, but let me tell you what it is first. Basically, it allows you to create process documentation, and basically all you have to do, is go through and do the process that you want to teach it or want it to document. And every single like movement or click or thing that you're doing, it will take a screen grab of exactly what you're doing, add a little description of the task that you're completing. And then whenever you finish the task, it'll output just like, like a help doc or like some sort of documentation and show images and the process of what it is you're having them do. So when I'm training my team and things like that, and I'm like, hey, this is how we do this thing, I just hit go on this Tango thing and it just takes screen grabs, adds those little descriptions, and then outputs it when I'm done. And then I can go in and iterate and add some more context, more like descriptive things to it. So that way it's a little bit more straightforward. So that's a really good one for helping train and develop processes and documentation for those processes. I really love that one. The next one that I have for you is called Fireflies. There's a couple different, this is a meeting transcription and summarization AI. There's a couple different ways or different companies that are doing this. Fireflies is just one that I've seen a little pop up. I've also seen Zoom integrate this within their app. I'm sure Google has something too. I think they have a meeting transcription, but I don't know if it does like a summarization thing. But it's pretty cool. You basically just plug it into your meetings, you invite it to your meetings, and it'll sit and listen in. And at the end of your meeting, it will provide a summary overview and transcription, as well as like any bullet points or anything like that from the meeting. And so I've been using this in client calls, and it'll just be running and it'll send me a recap at the end of that call of everything that we talked about, as well as all the action steps, things that I said that we're going to execute on and do, and new campaigns that we're going to set up, new products that we're going to support, new things we're going to be executing on. It'll tell me all those things. And I don't have to like remember or take notes or anything like that. It allows me to just make sure we stay on top of things and complete the tasks that we've aligned on. So I really love Fireflies for that. There's a couple different, versions of that you could probably use. That's just the one that I've been using. And then the final one that I wanted to mention was, it's one we already mentioned, is ChatGPT, but we've been using it for podcast transcription. So you could do this with any sort of like video content or other content and have it transcribe certain videos and turn them into additional types of content. It will repurpose content and turn it into blog posts or LinkedIn posts, and this is just like another way that we're leveraging ChatGPT is ideation and coming up with like what
we don't really use ChatGPT for that. We tested it to see if it could work.
Yeah, we did do it. We did it, and because we're thinking ahead of like, okay, if we did want to try to get into creating those types of content, how might we do that efficiently via the content we've already created?
I'm such a picky person when it comes to writing and style and tone of voice.
Yeah.
Chat just can't really capture my tone of voice. So I haven't liked what it's written yet for my own stuff. So everything that you're seeing, just so you guys know, everything I'm doing on LinkedIn is actually me. It's not just a regurgitation of ChatGPT.
Oh yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I've never posted anything that was like generated by ChatGPT. I don't think. I have had ChatGPT edit almost all of them.
Absolutely. Yes.
100%.
Yes.
So editing those. Also, I ask it for like ideas of like concepts and topics and things like that. It'll give me like 50 ideas of things I could write about or something like that. Or just,
I have it proofread client emails too.
That's a good idea. Have you ever tried giving it samples of your own writing before you ask it to output example posts or idea posts?
I have not, just because I feel like it needs a lot more of me than just like a little sample, potentially. I mean, a sample would definitely be a big influence on the overall output. Yeah.
I actually have done that. And I think there's a pretty big contrast between what it normally would output versus what it outputs when you give it those samples. And I usually gave it like 5 decently lengthy posts that I've already written and say, hey, I want to create a post about XYZ. I want you to match my tone of voice and writing style as closely as you can. Here's 5 samples of posts that I've written. Go, or something like that. And I found that that's a little bit better way to frame it up and get better output. So moral of the story is that your prompt is really going to be your guiding light. And I think that the acronym that you came up with is really great and a good framework for you to start from within. So CGPT, context, goal, process, tweak. So stick to that whenever you're writing these prompts, and you're going to get much better outputs and start to think through all the different descriptions and specific details that you can give the AI or give ChatGPT in order to produce a stronger output for yourself.
Yep, absolutely. And something that we're planning on doing too, just to continue pitching AdLabs again, just because I'm so excited about it. Go to adlabs.app to sign up on the wait list to reserve your spot so that you can get in line, because it's already building a long line, and like you're going to be waiting a long time if you get in there sooner than later. But I already spoke with the developers, and they're very excited about integrating ChatGPT into the app in future iterations of the app to have a lot of these built-in things so that we can analyze those top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel keywords, and like have these dashboards that automatically analyze your data, and it's like tailored uniquely to your account. So you can have your own version of ChatGPT in which you can constantly train it and be like, actually, no, this keyword was branded and that one was not, or this ASIN was branded and that one was not. And it'll continue to retain that information unique to your account. And so it'll just get smarter and smarter and smarter within your account. And then we're also partnering with another tool that has its own kind of AI integration built in. So on this app, Andrew and my job will be to create a ton of help documentation, taking a lot of the materials that we've that we've taught from this podcast so far, compiling this into a massive knowledge database. And then we have an AI bot that will scan and read and understand the entire knowledge base. And then there will be a chat bot, which you can interact with in case if Andrew and I are not available. While we'd love to handle customer support and answer questions. Obviously, if we're asleep and it's the middle of the night, there will be an AI bot there that has all of our PPC knowledge that you can ask it some questions, and it will be able to scan through all of our content as it's trained on it to help answer those questions around the PPC, around how to use the tool, around specifics, around keyword bid optimizations and placement settings and all this kind of stuff. So I think it'll be really freaking cool, and I'm excited for it. But AI itself, or AI in general, I should say, is incredibly powerful. And personally, I'm not too worried about what will happen to the dystopian future just yet. I probably will become more worried about that in the future. But for the time being, it's nice. It's nice to have some extra help managing all these things we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's like a $20 a month virtual assistant that you get.
Basically,
so
yeah.
Pretty much the cheapest assistant you're going to ever
Just like
find.
having a friend. It's just like having a friend who's like, he lives in another state, so you guys don't really talk, but you text all the time, and he just has infinite knowledge on everything.
He's a very smart guy. He's my mentor.
Yeah, especially with like the vocalized conversations. It's very cool.
That's pretty wild. I'm going to have to check that one out after this.
Yeah,
so
it's sweet. I was asking it history about, or some questions around like Roman Empire history and all this kind of stuff.
Of course you were. Yeah.
Growing my learning, my education.
Right.
All right, guys, we'll wrap this up. Thank you all for listening to episode, I think this was 27 of That Amazon Ads Podcast. And let us know in the comments what you think about AI, how you're using it. Was this 26?
It's 26, yeah.
Episode 26 of That Amazon Ads Podcast. Let us know in the comments how you plan on using all of these AI tools to help you kind of manage your Amazon ads and even just manage your clients, right? Were you going to add something to that?
Yeah. Any tools that you're using that we didn't mention that you think we should check out, throw those in the comments, because we're always looking for good tools. So share your knowledge too.
Yeah. And also jump in the Discord, and link in the description of all these podcasts and videos that you can join our Discord and start sharing that knowledge in our community as well, and learn from others. So that's all we got for you guys. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.